The planet of Cythera shimmered like a jewel in the vastness of space, its crystalline cities glowing faintly under the light of twin suns. It was a world of beauty and power, ruled by King Zorith, an aging monarch whose towering frame still commanded respect. Yet for all his strength and wisdom, there was one thing he could not fix: his daughter Lyria. Lyria was born fragile, her tiny body unable to harness the bioenergy that flowed naturally through every Cytheran's veins. This energy, known as Lumina, was the lifeblood of their civilization. It powered their technology, fueled their warriors, and symbolized their connection to the stars. Without it, Lyria was seen as incomplete, a shadow among radiant beings. Her peers mocked her, calling her the Hollow Princess, and even some elders whispered that she might never be fit to rule. Zorith loved his daughter deeply, but his heart ached with guilt. He had tried everything: ancient rituals, experimental treatments, even prayers to the star gods. But nothing worked. Lyria remained frail, her pale skin almost translucent compared to the glowing vitality of others. Determined to protect her, Zorith turned his gaze beyond Cythera, seeking answers in the stars themselves. It was during one such exploration mission that his scouts discovered Earth. They returned not with advanced technology or rare resources, but with something far stranger: a human. The creature, named Kel, stood shorter than any Cytheran, his skin dull and unremarkable. But what intrigued Zorith most was the report from his scientists. Humans possessed latent potential, untapped energies that could interact with Lumina in ways no one had foreseen. Kale, however, did not see himself as a gift. When he first woke up aboard the Cytheran ship, disoriented and frightened, he thought he was dreaming, or worse, dead. The towering aliens who surrounded him spoke in melodic tones, their language incomprehensible at first. He struggled against his restraints, shouting questions they ignored until finally they sedated him again. By the time he arrived on Cythera, anger burned within him. "You can't just take me," Kale shouted when Zorith summoned him to the throne room. "I'm not some trophy." Zorith regarded him calmly, his golden eyes piercing yet oddly gentle. "You misunderstand," the king replied, his translator device making his voice sound smooth and musical. "You are not here as a prisoner. You are here for my daughter." Kale frowned, suspicion etched across his face. "What does your daughter want with me?" "She needs you," Zorith said simply, though his tone carried the weight of desperation. When Kale met Lyria for the first time, he wasn't sure what to expect. The descriptions painted her as weak, broken even. But when she entered the grand hall, her steps hesitant but determined, Kale saw something else entirely. Her silvery hair caught the light, and though her body seemed delicate, her eyes held a quiet strength. "Hello," she said softly, her voice barely audible over the hum of the palace's energy fields. "I'm Lyria." Kale blinked, caught off guard by her sincerity. She didn't look at him like he was a tool or an experiment. Instead, she looked at him like a person. "I'm Kale," he replied gruffly, unsure how to respond. For days, Kale resisted interacting with Lyria. He refused meals brought to his quarters and avoided conversations whenever possible. But Lyria persisted, visiting him daily, despite his cold demeanor. Slowly, curiosity got the better of him. He began asking questions about Cythera, about its people, and about her. In turn, she asked about Earth, marveling at stories of oceans, forests, and cities lit by artificial lights. One evening, as they sat together in the palace gardens, Lyria confessed something that surprised Kale. "Everyone thinks I'm useless," she admitted, staring at the glowing flowers around them. "But I don't want to be. I want to prove them wrong." Kale hesitated, unsure how to respond. He didn't know much about royalty or alien politics, but he recognized determination when he saw it. And maybe, just maybe, he could help her find it. As days turned into weeks, Kale found himself growing more accustomed to life on Cythera. At first, The towering crystalline structures and shimmering energy fields had felt alien and overwhelming. But now he began noticing small details, the way the twin suns cast shifting patterns of light across the palace walls, or how the air carried a faint hum, like the planet itself was alive. Lyria became his guide in this strange new world, patiently explaining customs, traditions, and the intricate workings of Scytheran society. Kale learned that Lumina, the bioenergy flowing through every Scytheran, wasn't just a source of power. It was part of who they were. It manifested differently for each individual. Some could shape it into weapons, others used it to heal, and a few even harnessed it for flight. Watching Lyria struggle to call upon her own Lumina broke something inside him. She wasn't lazy or weak, as others claimed. She simply couldn't access what came naturally to everyone else. Despite her limitations, Lyria refused to give up. Every morning, she practiced meditation exercises meant to awaken her inner energy. Kale often joined her in the gardens, sitting quietly as she focused, her brow furrowed with effort. Though nothing ever happened, she always smiled afterward, saying, "Maybe tomorrow." One afternoon, while exploring a secluded corner of the garden, they stumbled upon an ancient tree-like structure covered in glowing vines. Its branches stretched high into the sky, pulsating faintly with a soft blue light. Intrigued, Lyria reached out to touch it, but Kale stopped her. "Wait," he said, his voice cautious. "We don't know what that is." "It's safe," Lyria assured him, brushing off his concern. "These are star vines. They're sacred to our people." Against his better judgment, Kale let her approach. As her fingers brushed the glowing surface, the vines reacted, curling gently around her hand. Then, something unexpected happened. A shard of crystal embedded in the trunk began to glow brighter, almost as if responding to her presence. Before either of them could react, Kale instinctively placed his own hand on the artifact. The moment their hands touched the crystal, a surge of energy rippled through the air. The ground beneath them trembled slightly, and both Kale and Lyria gasped as a wave of warmth spread through their bodies. For a brief second, Lyria's skin lit up with a faint golden glow, the unmistakable sign of Lumina awakening within her. "What was that?" Lyria whispered, staring at her hands in disbelief. Kale shook his head, equally stunned. "I don't know. Maybe it's because we touched it together." Though the glow faded quickly, leaving Lyria exhausted, the experience left them both shaken and hopeful. Could Kale somehow be the key to unlocking her potential, or had they triggered something far more dangerous than they realized? Word of the incident spread faster than either of them anticipated. Servants who had been tending nearby rushed to the scene, their expressions a mix of awe and fear. By evening, rumors reached King Zorith, who summoned them immediately. "You touched the star shard?" Zorith asked, his tone sharp but not unkind. "Do you understand what this means?" Lyria hesitated, glancing at Kale before answering. "It means, maybe I'm not as broken as everyone thinks." Zorith studied her carefully, his golden eyes searching for answers. Finally, he nodded. "Perhaps, but this changes everything. If the star shard responded to you, and to him, it proves there's more to your connection than chance." From that day forward, Kale and Lyria spent hours experimenting with the artifact, trying to replicate the surge of energy. Each attempt brought mixed results. Sometimes, Lyria's Lumina flared briefly. Other times, nothing happened at all. Despite the inconsistency, progress was undeniable. Slowly, Lyria grew stronger, her body adapting to the newfound energy coursing through her. Kale, meanwhile, struggled with conflicting emotions. On one hand, he felt a sense of pride watching Lyria grow more confident. On the other, he couldn't shake the feeling of guilt. Was he playing God by interfering with forces he barely understood? What if this experiment backfired, harming Lyria instead of helping her? Their bond deepened during these sessions, built on trust and shared determination. Kale taught Lyria techniques inspired by human martial arts, showing her how to move with precision and balance. In return, she introduced him to Scytheran philosophy, teaching him about harmony and resilience. Together, they formed a partnership unlike any either had experienced before, but not everyone viewed their progress favorably. Whispers of dissent began spreading throughout the palace. Some nobles accused Zoreth of tampering with forbidden knowledge, using Kale and the Star Shard to create unnatural powers. Others saw Lyria's sudden improvement as a threat, fearing she might challenge the status quo. One evening, as Kale and Lyria rested after another exhausting training session, a servant approached them nervously. "Princess," the young Scytheran stammered, "you should be careful. People are talking, saying you've made a deal with outsiders." Lyria frowned, her expression hardening. "Let them talk," she said firmly. "I won't hide who I am, or what I can do." Kale admired her courage, but worried about the consequences. He knew firsthand how dangerous fear and ignorance could be. Still, seeing Lyria stand tall despite the criticism filled him with a quiet hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the palace gardens in hues of orange and purple, Kale realized something important. This wasn't just about unlocking Lyria's potential anymore. It was about proving that strength came in many forms, and that sometimes the most unlikely bonds could change the course of destiny. The rumors swirling through the palace halls grew louder with each passing day. Lyria's newfound abilities, sparked by her connection to Kale and the Star Shard, were no longer a secret. While some marveled at her progress, others viewed it with suspicion and fear. The nobles of Cythera, particularly those who opposed King Zoreth's progressive ideals, saw Lyria's awakening as a threat to their traditions and their power. "Her powers are unnatural," one noble declared during a heated council meeting. "She hasn't earned them through discipline or lineage. This is an abomination." Zoreth listened silently, his expression unreadable as the accusations flew. He knew the truth, that Lyria's potential had always been there, waiting to be unlocked, but he also understood the weight of public perception. If he didn't act decisively, the unrest could spiral into chaos. After much deliberation, he made a decision that would change everything. "The trial of ascension," Zoreth announced, his voice echoing through the grand hall. "Lyria will face the arena like any other warrior. If she succeeds, she will prove herself worthy of her title and silence those who doubt her." Lyria froze when she heard the news. The trial of ascension was not just a test of strength. It was a brutal rite where young warriors fought against elite challengers in the arena of stars. Many participants never walked out alive. But before she could protest, Zoreth placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've come so far, my daughter," he said softly. "I believe in you, and I know you can do this." Kale, standing nearby, clenched his fists. "This is insane," he muttered under his breath. "They're sending her to die." Lyria turned to him, her eyes filled with determination rather than fear. "No," she said firmly. "This is my chance to show everyone what I'm capable of, including myself." Though Kale wanted to argue, he knew better than to undermine her resolve. Instead, he vowed to help her prepare. Every spare moment was spent training in a secluded courtyard, far from prying eyes. Drawing on his knowledge of human combat techniques, Kale taught Lyria how to move with speed and precision, using her smaller frame to her advantage. "Don't try to overpower your opponent," he instructed, demonstrating a swift kick followed by a defensive stance. "Use their size against them. Stay light on your feet." Lyria practiced tirelessly, her movements becoming sharper and more confident with each session. At first, calling upon her Lumina felt unpredictable. Sometimes it surged too strongly, leaving her drained. Other times, it flickered weakly. But over time, she learned to control it, channeling its energy into bursts of strength or protective barriers. Despite her progress, doubts lingered in the back of Cal's mind. The arena wasn't just about skill, it was about survival. Lyria might have improved, but her opponents would be seasoned warriors trained since birth to wield lumina with deadly precision. Could she truly hold her own? On the eve of the trial, Kale found Lyria sitting alone in the gardens, staring up at the twin suns. Her silvery hair shimmered faintly in the fading light, and for a moment she looked less like a fragile princess and more like the warrior she was striving to become. "You don't have to do this," Kale said gently, taking the seat beside her. "Yes, I do," Lyria replied without hesitation. "If I don't, they'll always see me as weak, as unworthy." She paused, turning to meet his gaze. "But I'm not weak anymore, Kale. Not completely. And I owe that to you." Kale shook his head, guilt tugging at his chest. "You did this yourself. All I did was point you in the right direction." Lyria smiled faintly, placing a hand on his arm. "Then stay with me until the end. Promise me that." "I promise," Kale said, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside him. The next morning, the arena of stars buzzed with anticipation. Thousands of Scytherans gathered to witness the trial, their glowing forms casting an ethereal light across the massive stadium. Lyria stood at the center, clad in lightweight armor designed to enhance her agility. Opposite her, 3 challengers awaited, their bodies radiating intense lumina. As the first challenger stepped forward, a towering warrior wielding a blade forged from pure energy, Kale watched anxiously from the sidelines. His heart pounded as Lyria raised her hands, summoning a shimmering barrier just in time to block the incoming attack. The crowd erupted into cheers and jeers, their reactions mixed. Some mocked her reliance on defense, while others marveled at her quick reflexes. Lyria ignored them all, focusing solely on her opponent. When the warrior lunged again, she sidestepped gracefully, delivering a precise strike to his exposed side. The blow sent him stumbling, earning gasps from the audience. Round after round, Lyria defied expectations. Her unconventional tactics baffled her opponents, forcing them to adapt or falter. By the final match, only one challenger remained, General Velos, a ruthless veteran known for crushing dissent among the lower castes. Velos approached with slow, deliberate steps, his crimson lumina blazing brightly. Unlike the others, he didn't underestimate Lyria. Instead, he studied her movements, searching for weaknesses. When the battle began, it was clear Velos intended to overwhelm her. Waves of fiery energy surged toward her, forcing her to dodge and weave desperately. Exhaustion crept into her limbs, and for a moment, defeat seemed inevitable. But then, something shifted. As Velos prepared a final, devastating strike, Lyria closed her eyes, drawing upon every ounce of strength within her. A brilliant golden light erupted from her body, engulfing the arena in a radiant glow. When the light faded, Velos lay defeated, his weapon shattered at his feet. The crowd fell silent, stunned by what they had witnessed. Lyria stood tall, breathing heavily but triumphant. For the first time in her life, she felt truly unstoppable. And somewhere in the stands, Kale allowed himself a small smile. Against all odds, Lyria had proven herself, not just as a warrior, but as a symbol of hope for anyone who dared to defy limitations. But as the cheers echoed around her, Lyria couldn't shake the feeling that this victory was only the beginning of a much larger battle. The aftermath of Lyria's victory in the Trial of Ascension rippled through Scythera like a shockwave. News of her triumph spread far beyond the arena, carried by glowing energy pulses that served as the planet's communication network. For the first time in her life, Lyria wasn't seen as weak or fragile. She was hailed as a warrior who had defied expectations and proven herself worthy. But not everyone celebrated her success. In the grand hall of the palace, whispers of dissent grew louder among the nobles. General Velos, humiliated by his defeat, led the charge against Lyria. "Her powers are unnatural," he seethed during a private council meeting. "She didn't earn them through discipline or lineage. That human is influencing her, corrupting our traditions." Others nodded in agreement, their glowing forms dimmed slightly by the weight of their anger. They accused King Zorith of tampering with forbidden knowledge, using Kale and the Star Shard to create an imbalance in Scytheran society. Some even suggested Lyria's abilities posed a threat to the very fabric of their civilization. Zorith listened patiently, his golden eyes calm but piercing. "Lyria has done nothing wrong," he said firmly. "She has shown courage and strength, qualities we should all admire. To question her worthiness now is to deny the truth of what we witnessed in the arena." But even Zorith couldn't quell the rising tide of unrest. The trial had ignited something deeper, a divide between those who embraced change and those who clung to tradition. Rebel factions began forming in the shadows, rallying around Lyria as a symbol of hope for marginalized communities. At the same time, powerful houses tightened their grip on power, determined to preserve the old ways at any cost. Amidst the chaos, Kale struggled with his role in Lyria's transformation. He knew her newfound abilities were tied to him, to the latent potential humans possessed, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he might have unleashed forces beyond his control. What if this experiment came at a price neither of them understood? One evening, as Kale wandered the palace gardens, lost in thought, he stumbled upon an ancient archive hidden beneath a cluster of star vines. Inside, holographic records flickered to life, revealing fragments of history long forgotten. Kale's breath caught as he pieced together the truth. Centuries ago, humans and Scytherans had once coexisted, their bond shaping the foundation of Scytheran culture. Humans were believed to be conduits of untapped energy, capable of amplifying lumina in ways no one else could. But something had gone wrong. Fear and misunderstanding led to conflict, and humans vanished from Scytheran history entirely. Now, Kale realized he and Lyria were unknowingly reopening a chapter that had been sealed for generations. "Kale." He turned to see Lyria standing in the doorway, her silvery hair catching the faint glow of the vines. She stepped inside, her eyes widening as she took in the holograms surrounding them. "What is all this?" she asked, her voice tinged with awe. "It's us," Kale replied softly. "Or rather, it's proof that humans and Scytherans were meant to work together. Your people forgot that connection, but maybe it's time to remember." Lyria studied the records intently, her expression shifting from curiosity to determination. "If this is true, then my powers aren't unnatural. They're part of something bigger, something we can use to unite our worlds." But unity wouldn't come easily. As word of the archive leaked, tensions escalated. Opposing factions clashed openly in the streets, their lumina weapons casting eerie lights across the crystalline cities. Lyria found herself torn between two paths: retreat into safety or step forward as a leader. "You don't have to do this alone," Kale told her one night as they stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Below, fires burned in the distance, evidence of the growing unrest. "I'm not alone," Lyria replied, glancing at him. "I have you." Together, they devised a plan to confront the root of the conflict, the conspirators orchestrating the rebellion. Intelligence gathered by loyal servants revealed their stronghold, a floating citadel called the Obsidian Spire, perched high above the planet's surface. It was heavily guarded, its defenses powered by stolen lumina cores. "We'll need more than just brute force," Kale said, sketching out a strategy on a holomap. "We'll hit them where they least expect it, their supply lines. Without those cores, their defenses will collapse." Lyria nodded, already envisioning how her newfound abilities could turn the tide. "And I'll lead the final assault. If I can get close enough to disable their main weapon, we might stand a chance." The mission would require precision, stealth, and unwavering trust. Alongside a small team of loyal fighters, including Cal, Lyria prepared for the most dangerous challenge of her life. Training intensified, focusing on coordination and adaptability. Each member of the team brought unique skills to the table, but none doubted who the heart of the operation truly was. On the eve of their departure, Lyria sought solace in the palace gardens. Cal joined her, sensing her unease. "What if I fail?" she asked quietly, her gaze fixed on the twin suns setting in the distance. You won't, Kale said firmly. You've already proven yourself stronger than anyone thought possible. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about showing them what you're made of. Lyria smiled faintly, drawing strength from his words. Then let's show them. As dawn broke over Cythera, the team set out for the Obsidian Spire, their resolve unshakable. Ahead lay danger and uncertainty, but also the promise of a brighter future, for Lyria, for Kale, and for the worlds they represented. Little did they know, the greatest challenge awaited within the spire itself, a test not of strength, but of faith. The journey to the Obsidian Spire was fraught with peril. The floating citadel loomed in the distance, its jagged towers piercing the sky like shards of black glass. Lightning crackled around its edges, and a faint hum of energy pulsed through the air, an ominous warning to any who dared approach. Lyria and her team moved cautiously, their path illuminated by the dim glow of lumina weapons and the occasional flash of lightning. Kale led the way, his human instincts proving invaluable as they navigated treacherous terrain. Unlike Scytherans, he lacked natural bioenergy, but his resourcefulness and quick thinking made him an indispensable member of the team. He carried a portable scanner that detected fluctuations in the spire's defenses, allowing them to avoid traps hidden beneath the rocky surface. "You sure this is safe?" one of the fighters whispered nervously as they crossed a narrow ridge. Below, jagged rocks jutted out like teeth, ready to swallow anyone who fell. "Safe?" "No," Kale replied dryly, "but it's our best shot." Lyria walked behind him, her steps steady despite the danger. She had come a long way from the frail girl who once struggled to summon even a flicker of lumina. Now her body radiated a soft golden light, a testament to her growing mastery over her powers. Yet she remained humble, drawing strength not from arrogance but from purpose. As they neared the base of the spire, the team split into two groups. One would disable the stolen lumina cores powering the outer defenses, while the other, led by Lyria, would infiltrate the main chamber to confront the conspirators directly. Kale insisted on staying by Lyria's side, refusing to let her face the unknown alone. "We're stronger together," he said simply when she tried to argue. The infiltration proved more challenging than anticipated. The spire's interior was a labyrinth of twisting corridors and glowing barriers, each designed to disorient intruders. At every turn, automated sentinels patrolled, their metallic forms glinting menacingly in the dim light. "Stay low," Lyria whispered as they ducked behind a cluster of crates. A sentinel passed overhead, its sensors scanning for movement. When it moved on, the team exhaled in relief. Progress was slow but steady. Lyria used her lumina to create brief illusions, distracting guards and buying them precious seconds to slip past undetected. Kale, meanwhile, hacked into control panels using tools scavenged during their mission prep. Together, they dismantled security systems piece by piece, inching closer to their goal. Finally, they reached the heart of the spire, a cavernous chamber filled with pulsating energy conduits and towering machinery. At the center stood a massive device, its core glowing ominously. This was the weapon the conspirators intended to use, a device capable of destabilizing entire regions of Cythera, plunging millions into chaos. Before they could act, a voice echoed through the chamber. "So the Hollow Princess dares to challenge us." General Velos emerged from the shadows, flanked by several high-ranking nobles. His crimson lumina flared brightly, casting harsh red light across the room. Behind him stood Lady Siren, a cunning politician known for manipulating others to maintain her power. Her presence confirmed what Lyria had suspected. This rebellion wasn't just about fear of change. It was about greed and control. "You think you can stop us?" Siren sneered, her tone dripping with disdain. "You're nothing but a puppet of that human filth." Kale clenched his fists but held his ground. Lyria stepped forward, her voice calm yet resolute. "I'm not here to fight you," she said. "I'm here to show you there's another way. A better way." Humans and Cytherans were meant to work together, not destroy each other. Siren laughed bitterly. Sentimental nonsense. Your kind abandoned us centuries ago. Why should we trust you now? It's not about trust, Lyria countered. It's about survival. If we keep clinging to fear and division, we'll tear ourselves apart. Is that really what you want? For a moment, doubt flickered in Siren's eyes, but Velos quickly stepped forward, cutting off any chance of negotiation. Enough talk, he growled, raising his hand. A surge of energy erupted toward Lyria, forcing her to throw up a protective barrier at the last second. The battle began in earnest. Lyria fought with everything she had, weaving her lumina into shields, projectiles, and bursts of light. Kale supported her from the sidelines, disabling enemy equipment and creating diversions. Despite their efforts, the odds were against them. Velos and his allies were seasoned warriors, their attacks relentless. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, reinforcements arrived. The rest of the team had succeeded in disabling the outer defenses, freeing them to join the fight. With renewed strength, Lyria pressed forward, focusing all her energy on reaching the weapon's core. As she placed her hands on the device, a surge of pain shot through her body. The core resisted her attempts to shut it down, feeding off the stolen lumina within. For a moment, she faltered, but then she felt Cal's hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "You can do this," he urged. "You're stronger than you think." Summoning every ounce of willpower, Lyria channeled her lumina into the core, overpowering its defenses. With a deafening crackle, the device shut down, plunging the chamber into darkness. When the lights returned, Velos and Siren were gone, retreating into the shadows. Though the immediate threat was neutralized, Lyria knew the fight wasn't over. The conspirators would regroup, and the divisions tearing Scythera apart ran deeper than any single victory could heal. But as she stood beside Kale, surrounded by her loyal team, Lyria allowed herself a small measure of hope. Change wouldn't come overnight, but she had taken the first step, and she wasn't alone. Together, they walked out of the spire, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The victory at the Obsidian Spire was bittersweet. While Lyria and her team had successfully disabled the weapon, the conspirators' escape left the door open for future threats. General Velos and Lady Siren were cunning adversaries, and their retreat only confirmed that they would regroup and strike again. The rebellion may have been weakened, but it was far from defeated. Back in the palace, King Zorith greeted them with a mixture of pride and concern. "You've done well," he said, his golden eyes reflecting both relief and worry. "But this is not the end. The rift among our people runs deep. Healing it will take more than battles. It will require trust." Lyria nodded, her expression resolute. She understood the weight of what lay ahead. Defeating enemies in combat was one thing. Uniting a fractured society was another entirely. As she walked through the grand halls of the palace, she noticed the lingering tension among the servants and nobles alike. Whispers followed her everywhere, some praising her bravery, others questioning her motives. Cable, too, felt the strain. Though he had earned respect from some quarters, many still viewed him as an outsider, a symbol of change they weren't ready to accept. He often found himself avoiding crowded areas, retreating to the quiet solitude of the palace gardens. It was there that Lyria joined him one evening, her presence a comforting constant amidst the chaos. "You look tired," she said softly, sitting beside him on a stone bench. "So do you," Kale replied with a faint smile. "How are you holding up?" "Honestly, I'm scared," Lyria admitted. "I thought stopping the weapon would make things better, but it's like no matter what I do, some people will never see me as anything more than the Hollow Princess." Kale placed a reassuring hand on hers. "They're wrong. You've already proven how strong you are, not just in battle, but in spirit. Change takes time, Lyria. Don't let their fear define you." His words brought her comfort, but they also reminded her of the challenges ahead. If she wanted to bring true unity to Cythera, she needed to address the root of the problem: mistrust between humans and Cytherans. Inspired by the ancient records they had discovered in the archive, Lyria proposed a bold idea, a council where representatives from marginalized communities, including human captives like Kale, could voice their concerns and work toward solutions. At first, the suggestion met fierce resistance. Many nobles argued that granting outsiders a platform would undermine Scytheran authority. "This isn't about power," Lyria countered during a heated council meeting. "It's about understanding. Humans aren't our enemies. They're part of our history. If we want to move forward, we need to embrace that connection instead of fearing it." Her impassioned speech swayed a few undecided members, but the majority remained unconvinced. Frustration bubbled beneath the surface, threatening to derail her efforts before they even began. Determined not to give up, Lyria turned to those who supported her cause. Together with Kale and a small group of allies, she organized grassroots initiatives to build bridges between communities. They visited settlements outside the capital, listening to grievances and offering aid wherever possible. Slowly but surely, their message of hope began to spread. However, progress came at a cost. One night, as Lyria and Kale returned from a visit to a remote village, they were ambushed by masked assailants. The attackers struck swiftly, their weapons crackling with stolen Lumina energy. Lyria reacted instinctively, summoning a protective barrier to shield them, while Kale fought back with improvised tools. Though they managed to fend off the ambush, the encounter left them shaken. Back at the palace, Lyria examined a deep gash on Kale's arm, her hands trembling as she tended to his wound. "They're targeting us directly now," she murmured, her voice heavy with guilt. "This is my fault." "No, it's not," Kale insisted firmly. "We knew this path wouldn't be easy, but giving up isn't an option, not when so much is at stake." His unwavering determination reignited her resolve. If anything, the attack reinforced the urgency of their mission. Lyria realized that fear and division thrived in silence and shadows. To dismantle them, she needed to shine a light, both literally and figuratively. With renewed purpose, she called for a public assembly in the heart of the capital. Thousands gathered in the Arena of Stars, the same place where she had once faced her greatest trial. Standing atop the central platform, Lyria addressed the crowd, her voice steady and clear. "I am not here to ask for your loyalty," she began. "I am here to tell you the truth. For too long, we have allowed fear to divide us, to pit neighbor against neighbor, species against species. But I believe we are stronger together. Humans and Scytherans share a bond older than any of us. Denying that bond only weakens us all." As she spoke, she extended her hand toward Cole, who stood nearby. A murmur rippled through the audience, some nodding in agreement while others scowled in disapproval. But Lyria pressed on, undeterred. "Our future depends on whether we choose to embrace change or cling to the past. I cannot promise it will be easy, but I can promise you this. I will stand with anyone willing to fight for unity, justice, and peace." Her words resonated deeply, sparking a mix of emotions among the crowd. Some cheered loudly, inspired by her vision, while others muttered angrily, unwilling to let go of old prejudices. Among the dissenters was Lady Seren, watching from the shadows with narrowed eyes. Beside her, General Velos clenched his fists, his crimson lumina flickering ominously. "She grows bolder," Seren observed coldly. "If we don't act soon, she'll destroy everything we've built." Velos nodded grimly. "Then we'll finish what we started, once and for all." Unaware of the storm brewing in the distance, Lyria and Kale returned to the palace, buoyed by the support they had gained. Though the road ahead remained uncertain, they took solace in knowing they weren't alone. Together, they had ignited a spark of hope, and they vowed to keep it burning, no matter the cost. Little did they know, their greatest test was yet to come. The days following Lyria's public address were a whirlwind of activity. Her impassioned speech had ignited a firestorm of reactions across Cythera. Supporters rallied behind her, organizing peaceful demonstrations and community projects aimed at fostering unity. Yet opposition grew fiercer as well. Nobles who feared losing their grip on power tightened their alliances, while General Velos and Lady Siren plotted in secret, determined to crush Lyria's movement before it could take root. Tensions reached a breaking point when rumors surfaced about an impending attack on the capital. Intelligence gathered by loyal servants revealed that the conspirators planned to unleash a devastating strike during the Festival of Stars, a celebration meant to honor Cythera's history and unity. The irony was not lost on Lyria or Kale. What was supposed to be a symbol of hope risked becoming a battleground for division. "We can't let them win," Lyria said firmly as she and Kale pored over maps of the city in the palace war room. "If they succeed, everything we've worked for will be undone." Kale nodded, his expression grim. "Then we'll stop them before they act. But we'll need more than just brute force this time. We need strategy and trust." Lyria agreed, calling together her most trusted allies. Among them were rebels who had once doubted her, but now stood by her side, inspired by her courage and vision. Together, they devised a plan to expose the conspirators' plot and protect the festival goers. On the eve of the festival, Lyria addressed her team one final time. "This isn't just about stopping an attack. It's about showing everyone that fear doesn't have to rule us. No matter what happens tomorrow, remember why we're doing this." As dawn broke over Cythera, the capital buzzed with excitement. Streets glittered with glowing decorations, and citizens gathered in anticipation of the festivities. Unbeknownst to them, Lyria and her team moved silently through hidden passageways, positioning themselves strategically around key locations. Kale led a small group tasked with infiltrating the conspirators' command center beneath the central plaza. Using tools he had crafted from scavenged materials, he disabled security systems and created diversions to buy them time. Meanwhile, Lyria stationed herself near the main stage, ready to intervene if needed. The moment arrived sooner than expected. As fireworks lit up the sky, signaling the start of the festival, Lady Siren stepped onto the stage, flanked by armed guards. Her voice boomed over the crowd, laced with venomous rhetoric designed to incite panic. "Look around you," she cried. "Do you see how easily outsiders corrupt our traditions? Do you see how weak leadership has left us vulnerable?" Before she could continue, Lyria stepped forward, her presence commanding silence. "Enough," she said, her voice calm yet authoritative. "You seek to divide us with lies and fear, but I stand here today to show you another path, a path of unity and strength." Siren sneered, gesturing for her guards to seize Lyria. But before they could act, Cal's team succeeded in disabling the conspirators' weapons remotely, leaving them defenseless. At the same time, reinforcements loyal to Lyria emerged from the shadows, surrounding the stage. "You've underestimated us," Lyria continued, her golden lumina glowing brightly. "And you've underestimated the people of Cythera. They're stronger than your schemes, braver than your threats. It's time to end this." General Velos lunged toward her, his crimson energy blazing fiercely. But Lyria was ready. Drawing upon every ounce of skill and determination, she countered his attacks with precision and grace. The battle was fierce, but ultimately, Lyria's resolve proved unshakable. With a final burst of lumina, she disarmed Velos, forcing him to his knees. Lady Siren, realizing defeat was inevitable, attempted to flee. However, she was intercepted by Kale and his team, who escorted her back to face justice. As the conspirators were taken into custody, cheers erupted from the crowd below. Citizens flooded the streets, celebrating not just the thwarted attack, but the triumph of unity over division. In the aftermath, King Zoreth addressed the nation, praising Lyria and her allies for their bravery. "Today marks a new beginning for Cythera," he declared, "a future where humans and Cytherans stand side by side, united in purpose and hope." Lyria stood beside him, her hand resting lightly on Cal's shoulder. Though challenges remained, rebuilding trust, healing wounds, their bond served as a beacon of possibility. Together, they had proven that even the deepest rifts could be bridged with courage and compassion. As the twin suns rose over a transformed Scifi, Lyria gazed at the horizon, her heart filled with quiet optimism. Change wouldn't come overnight, but she knew they had taken the first step towards something greater. For the first time in her life, she truly felt like a leader, not because of titles or powers, but because she had earned the trust and respect of those she sought to protect. And standing beside her, Kale smiled, knowing they had forged a legacy that would endure for generations to come. Together, they faced the dawn of a brighter future, one where hope guided them forward, lighting the path to unity and peace.